the most tremendous new musical experience you can have.
Hey yo, what's good y'all? It's Logan, and I'm here bringing y'all this review to this newest Kid Cudi album called Man on the Moon 3 The Chosen. Now before we get into it, y'all know, I've taken like the past 2 weeks off. That's partially because I've been busy, you know, basketball season is just now starting up, so that's keeping me a little busy. On top of that, nothing has been coming out that was worth me reviewing, honestly. I mean, your old Droog dropped, and it was good, but not good enough where I was like, okay, you know, everyone's waiting to hear his review, you know what I'm saying? But then this week came, and all of a sudden we got, boom, Kid Cudi, good album, boom, Boldy James, good album, boom, Toby Nwigwe, I hope I'm saying that right, I always struggle with his name, good album, boom, Jack Harlow, big drop, even if it's not a good album. So that's 4 reviews that I plan on getting out, you know, fingers crossed, I might combine 2 of them, we'll see. But anyways, Kid Cudi, man. I love Man on the Moon 1. I really like Man on the Moon 2. And I was very excited to see this one coming out. Again, this is the 3rd installment of the classic album series. I say series rather than trilogy because who knows, he could follow it up with a 4th one. Doubtful, you know, usually albums usually end trilogies, but you never know. I've always enjoyed Cudi. Although he can be kind of hit or miss on albums. And I say that only slightly because really he's only had 1 miss with Speedin' Bullet to Heaven. But like everything else has been good. Man on the Moon 1, Man on the Moon 2, what was it, Satellite Flight, Passion, Pain, and Demon Slaying. All of those were good, if not great. So yeah, I really enjoy his music. He's at his best when he's humming, when he's being depressingly uplifting, when he's harmonizing some, all of that. There's not much more uplifting than Kid Cudi, if we're being totally honest. Now for the pros of this album, he has a good bit of his classic sound on here. That classic Man on the Moon 1, 2, all that. Basically anything other than Speedin' Bullet. There's a good bit of that on here. On top of that, there are some new things on here that you could enjoy, such as you can tell a little bit of a trap influence on some of the tracks. That is kind of interesting. Something that you don't see. While you can see that Kid Cudi takes a little bit from trap, he's not like trap itself, but the beats on this one, at least for the first half of the album, seem pretty solidly trap beats. But moving on from that, also this is probably his most lyrical project. You can tell he took a little bit more interest in the writing and in the delivery of what he's saying. A little bit more like actual rapping rather than his style of rap, which, let's be honest, his style of rap is better than what he was doing on some of these tracks. You know, his style being like the Man on the Moon 1, blah, blah, blah sound. But regardless, his rapping is still pretty solid. Not that that's a surprise. He has been doing that. It's just more evident on this one, maybe. He took a little bit more care into the intricacy of his flows at times, I think. And that's not his greatest strength, but I'm not going to call it a weakness either. Now if we're going to get into the cons, specifically speaking about more the first half of this album, it can kind of sound like a Travis Scott knockoff at times. Yes, I know, he inspired Trav, but regardless, there are moments where it's just clearly like he's going too deep into the trap influences that he's going for on this one when you prefer him to go more into his normal sound. And I think you can really tell that and tell where it's missing that from comparing the first half of this album to the second half, where the first half really is more of that trap sound, and the second half is way better because it has more of that Kid Cudi hum harmonizing sound to it. And I will discuss where that changing point is, of course. I want to specifically bring up Heaven on Earth, the track. That's probably the least creative track on here. Again, really just sounds like a less experimental Travis Scott trap song, you know? Again, there are a lot of comparisons between the two anyways. Travis Scott is highly influenced by Kid Cudi, but that one sounds less like Kid Cudi and more like Travis, you know? This one does not feel as inspired as Man on the Moon 1 altogether, which again was my favorite of the 3. But it does have its moments to shine by far. Speaking of that, let's go on to the standouts where we talk about Show Out, of course featuring Pop Smoke and Skepta. And honestly, this one sounds like a song straight off of Shoot for the Moon, Aim for the Stars to begin with. Of course, with Pop Smoke. Almost said just Pop. You can't say Pop without the smoke. Coming in, doing a solid hook. You got some hard-hitting bass and a hi-hat beat. And then you go into Skepta, who fits amazingly as well. And then the vibe kind of changes once Cudi gets on. It's still kind of that more drill trap sound, but Cudi comes on humming, giving some harmonizing to it, kind of bringing a different element to the kind of same beat. It kind of adds a more smooth, relaxing element to it, especially when he breaks it up with some crooning, and just his natural smooth sound altogether. It's a really enjoyable track. Maybe not my favorite on here, but still really enjoyable. Now we get into Mr. Solo Dolo 3, of course, being the third part of the trilogy of songs that have appeared on every single one. I will say Mr. Solo Dolo 1 is the best one. This one does do well to change the beat up, though. I kind of wish he would have gone with that nostalgic feel, but at the same time, it's like, by the third one, you can't really rely on that to make it a good song, so you have to make it a good song on your own. So while it would have probably been better used to reuse that beat again a little bit more clearly, still it has the same general vibe to a degree, where again he's going with more of that humming, harmonizing type sound that you hear from Kid Cudi all the time, which is where I point to this track as the changing point in this album altogether. After this, the trap influence kind of starts to die, and you get more to the classic Man on the Moon sounds and vibes. Specifically, you will notice that on the track The Void. By far the best track on this album, one of my favorite songs of the year, and honestly, one of my favorite Kid Cudi songs as of now. Now, that could change. You know, it's only been out for a couple of days, but I've been listening to Kid Cudi for a while, and this song is classic Kid Cudi, honestly. Immaculate vibes on this one. Amazing harmonizing and humming. Definitely sounds like a Man on the Moon 1 track with even more futuristic production. Again, kind of showing the growth of technology over the past decade. Man on the Moon coming out in 2009, I believe. This also transitions very well into the next track, Lovin' Me. I'm not going to talk specifically about that track other than to say the vibes, again, are really great, and Cudi and Phoebe Bridgers really harmonize beautifully together on that one. Overall, this is a pretty solid album. I didn't know it was going to be coming out this year. Of all the albums I expected, a Kendrick album, a Cole album, maybe even a Drake album that probably aren't dropping this year. This is not one I expected. And I'm happy we got it, you know. I'm not going to say it's one of my favorite albums of the year, but I really enjoyed it. Is it going to make my top 10? No. Will it make my top 20? Probably not. Top 30? Potentially. Either way, it just is really easy to vibe with. A really fun listen that you can go back to and always find something different to enjoy. Maybe not something new to enjoy, but you'll be in the mood for something on this album at different periods of life in general. Kid Cudi always comes with something good, except for that one misstep that I always have to mention. But as long as he's not having Beavis and Butthead skits, he's probably hitting with a good album. At the end of the day, I think this one was pretty solid, and I'm going to go with a Ride and Vibe 8 out of 10. Yeah, I mean, what did you expect from a Kid Cudi album? It's going to get Ride and Vibe? Duh. Unless it's bad. But this one's not bad. It's good. Really enjoyable. I'm going to come back to it quite a bit. Definitely going to come back to The Void. Oh my god. Yeah, really solid album to hit us with. That's all I got for y'all on this one. I'm probably going to go ahead and review another album right now. So don't be surprised if I'm wearing this same get up in my next review, and probably even in my one after that. I'm trying to get ahead here. Appreciate y'all watching. I'll hit y'all up next time.